Pro-lifers are winning like never before. The abortion supporters are losing, and they are really, really upset about it. So one of them has gone viral, making a video of all the ways that abortion supporters need to argue with pro-lifers, offering lessons on tactics and arguments that the pro-abortion people should make. I have not seen them because these took place on TikTok. I am constantly being kicked off of TikTok. I never really used TikTok to begin with, but then I say true things on TikTok and they ban me again because Xi Jinping doesn't like it.
我在北京.
So anyway, my producers have found these videos. They are by Erin, I don't know her last name, a former nurse, a leftist, she says. She's a deconstructing evangelical, whatever that is. And she says her pronouns are she and her. Pronouns in bio. That's always a marker that you're about to get just a really, really great video. This wholesome American debunking is brought to you by Good Ranchers. I love Good Ranchers. More from them in just a second. First, though, here is Arguing with Pro-Lifers that now has 3.8 million plays at this very moment. Take it away, Erin.
I'm going to help you argue with pro-lifers. As a former pro-lifer myself, there are some things that they're going to listen to that is going to fall on deaf ears. Point one, you need to focus on the fact that pro-lifers legitimately think abortion is murder.
That's true.
If you tell them that, oh, you just support, unborn babies until they're born, you're not going to help them with food and shelter, that doesn't matter because
it's fake.
Murder is murder. Yeah.
And also that point is not true, but yes, murder is murder.
It doesn't matter if they do that or not because they still think that murdering that child is worse than letting them struggle. And if you're going to talk about the life of the mother versus the life of the unborn child, you have to understand that statistics are really in their favor because most mothers, most pregnant people do well. They will give you statistics like, well, most people just aren't ready to be a mom or they just can't afford it. And even if some people die in the process of these laws rolling out, they think that overall you're saving more human lives because the unborn are now surviving.
She's generally being somewhat fair to the pro-lifers here, and she's making the point that if you make a bunch of stupid pro-abortion arguments, the pro-lifers are going to smack you down. That's true. Here, she's kind of losing it a little bit because, one, maternal mortality is very, very, very low. It doesn't mean that there's no risk to pregnancy. Of course there is risk to pregnancy. There's also risk to abortion. Women die from abortions, from legal abortions and illegal abortions. The year before Roe v. Wade was decided, it was a very small number, but the number of women who died from illegal abortions was 39. The number of women who died from legal abortions was about 24. And when you look at the states in which abortion was legal or illegal, the risk was roughly about the same. So obviously there's risk in any kind of medical intervention. And then she's making a utilitarian argument. She's saying, well, the total number of people who will be saved by pro-life laws outweighs the total number of people who will be killed by pro-life laws.
The needs of the many outweigh
the needs of the few.
That's not the argument. Pro-lifers are not making utilitarian arguments or consequentialist arguments. We're making arguments from the act itself. We're saying it is wrong to commit murder. And so it is always wrong. The action itself is wrong. Yes, pregnancy entails risk, just like abortion entails risk to the woman. But the way to judge the action is not based on some gambling or some odds placing or some abstract calculation. The question is, should I kill an innocent little baby? And the answer is no. So she's got that one wrong there. But generally, she's I think, giving relatively good advice for arguments that are just not going to work with pro-lifers because they're so obviously bogus. There's more from this lady to get to in 1 second. First, though, you got to go to goodranchers.com/Knowles. President Ronald Reagan famously said,
"All great change in America begins at the dinner table."
Well, bring your family to the dinner table with Good Ranchers. These guys are the best. They ship 100% American meat, born, raised, and harvested in the United States right to your door. They age every cut to perfection. They give you the true steakhouse experience right in your own home. The quality simply cannot be beat. When you subscribe, I'm not joking, your price is locked in for life. We're at a time of crazy inflation going through the roof, and somehow you're gonna lock in your meat prices for life. These guys are wonderful. I eat Good Ranchers probably 3 times a week at this point. I love their products, their chicken, their beef, their burgers, their steaks, all of it is so phenomenal. deal. Use my code Knowles, Knowles, to get your steakhouse experience for $30 off plus free shipping on your order. Shipping is not cheap. This is a lot of top quality meat, so take advantage of this offer. Go to goodranchers.com/Knowles. These guys are the best. Start bringing people back to the table and eating seriously delicious food. Have you already bought from Good Ranchers? Good. Show me what you're making. Post a photo of your meal. Tag me and my friends over at Good Ranchers so they can see it too. All right, back to this lady.
Even if you tell stories like, fetuses who like don't have a brain and they're not going to, make it, they see that as kind of a sacrifice a mom can make and be like, it's in God's hands. Like, no physician should go in there and abort something if it's still alive. So that's also not going to work. But if they don't work in medicine, they don't understand the complications that carrying that fetus to term is going to create.
So on all these geniuses, who work in medicine and they're such wonderful experts and everything, very, very often when doctors tell mothers that their child is going to have awful complications or are going to die at a very young age or anything like this to impel them to get an abortion, very, very often, the majority of the time, it's not true. I forget which left-wing newspaper, a prominent left-wing newspaper, ran an article about this just within recent months, which pointed out that actually these false diagnoses of terrible complications for the baby are widespread. Actually, the majority of these sorts of things are false. And so then you also come back to the same old issue, which is if the baby is alive, even if the baby might have some disability, even if the baby is going to have suffering, that is not an argument to kill the baby. Any more than you'd walk around and find a 15-year-old with mental problems and say, well, kill that person. Oh, he's got Down syndrome. Kill that person. He's got a chromosomal disorder. Yeah, kill him. He shouldn't live. That's a ghastly argument. Well, it's a ghastly argument when we're talking about a 30-year-old or a 15-year-old or a 5-year-old or a little baby in the womb.
So with all that said, you have to focus on the fetus's personhood. And I will post more about how you do that to come.
Of all of these videos from the pro-abortion people, hers, I think, is the best. I'm damning with faint praise a little bit here, but she's making the point, hey, pro-abortion people, most of the arguments you're making are unpersuasive. Now, the reason they're unpersuasive is because usually they're just factually not correct, but also because they're philosophically incoherent. And she's saying, yes, if you come at these arguments, if you come at pro-lifers from the perspective of shallow arguments, that's not going to work. Well, sure, manifestly, that is not true. So far, I only see about 30% wrong. 70% decent video. I didn't go in expecting to think that this pro-abortion lady was going to be making a video worth watching, but generally that's true. If the pro-abortion people stopped making such frivolous arguments, they would save their time and ours.